Vertigo Recovery Doctor. I'm Dr. Kevin Smith. I'm a vestibular physical therapist, and today I'm going to talk about how you can supercharge your recovery from vertigo. Now, if you haven't figured out what's causing your vertigo yet, you can download my free ebook on the 5 most common causes of vertigo and how to recover. Just follow the link below. It'll get dropped in your inbox after signing up for a newsletter. It's a great resource that you can look at and try and figure out what might be causing your symptoms. Hopefully it doesn't get dropped in your spam folder, but check there as well. So what is my tip for supercharging your vertigo recovery is aerobic or cardiovascular exercise. Now, when I was looking through the research on how aerobic or cardiovascular exercise affects recovery from vestibular disorders, there's not a whole lot that I found, which is kind of interesting. Most of what I found was vestibular rehab or vestibular exercises that were prescribed. So some of those articles had, thrown in with it were aerobic or cardiovascular exercise with the program, but nothing specifically looked at recovery from vestibular disorders with aerobic exercise versus those who didn't do anything versus those who maybe did just vestibular rehab or the standard of care, which is kind of interesting. I'd like to see a little bit more about that. But we can kind of go back on things that we know a lot. There have been a lot of studies on the positive effects of aerobic or cardiovascular exercise, one being improved cognitive function, one being improved neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to adapt or to learn, to form new connections, and another one being improved mental health as well. So improved mood, you get this release of endorphins, helps decrease anxiety, promote self-esteem. And so there's a lot more benefits to cardiovascular exercise, but specifically that improved neuroplasticity. You get this increased blood flow to the brain when you exercise, and being able to make new connections in the brain is what we really rely on when we're recovering from vertigo disorders or vestibular disorders, or when you're recovering from vertigo. Now, we rely on that brain to adapt, to learn, to grow, to change during these exercises. A lot of times with vestibular exercises, we're trying to create an error that the brain has to correct for. And we rely on neuroplasticity to make that change. So the brain making new connections to help make your brain processing all the sensory information a little bit more efficient and hopefully reduce the symptoms that you're experiencing. So if you are participating in aerobic exercise, there's been a lot of studies that looked at people who are exercising at least 150 minutes or more a week have seen a greater benefit and even a decrease in mortality as well. And a newer study, I believe, that came out looking at delaying the onset of chronic conditions, of over 40 chronic conditions by just doing moderate exercise for 150 minutes a week. Now, this can be split up to like 30 minutes a day. It's what the CDC recommends. And this is something that you kind of have to be careful with if you've had some kind of vertigo or dizziness, because let's say you go out and you're walking or you're running, it may not be the best idea if you had some kind of vestibular neuritis and you're already falling off to the side. But you can do something like a stationary bike where you can sit and you can still be stable, but you can still get your heart rate up and heart rate pumping. Now, implementing this can be difficult. Staying consistent, doing it every week, every day, several times a week can be difficult because, one, you're probably not feeling great. Two, maybe there's anxiety or depression on top of that. Three, maybe you have some kind of exercise intolerance, or especially if you're not feeling, you just don't want to do the exercise. I came home today and I came home late from work. I had such a long to-do list. My wife was headed out the door right as I was coming in, so I was on, I I had to make dinner. I had to, take care of the kids and put them to bed and put them to sleep. And then after they go to bed, that's when I could start this super long to-do list. And what often happens is that I cut that self-care, going out for my run, which I was supposed to do yesterday, and I even procrastinated to today. So if this is something that you do, don't feel alone, because I do it as well. But I would just kept thinking of, okay, my goals are that I want to improve my health. I want to improve my gut motility because I'm working through some chronic gut dysfunction. People who exercise have a more diverse microbiome. That's something that I'm trying to work on as well. So I'm thinking of all these things of how it's going to benefit me and what my goals are, and how I'm committed to improving. And that kind of helped push me out the door because I was just tired and I did not want to go. But I got the kids, and they usually ride their bikes with me while I go for a run. And I did it. I got it done. I don't always feel great, especially when I was working through some of the exercise intolerance that I did have. I was having headaches after I ran or when I exercised, a lot of joint pain and just excessive fatigue and all this. So it's helpful working with my practitioner to kind of get through some of those things. And still, it's even this mindset that you got to work towards to get yourself out there doing exercise every day, or several times a week. But it's worth it, and I feel healthier. I feel better after I exercise. And I'm hoping that is contributing to my overall well-being and health. And I know for a fact that it helps with recovering from vertigo, because we do rely on that brain's ability to change, and exercise is super important to that. So if you have been dealing with chronic vertigo, or you just started experiencing vertigo, talk with your either vestibular physical therapist or whoever's managing your care on when you can start doing aerobic exercise, cardiovascular exercise. This is something that you should consider as a part of your recovering from vertigo, because I really think it's going to help supercharge your recovery. It's going to shorten the time frame, and hopefully decrease the risk of you developing any chronic vestibular disorders as well. So, there's a lot of studies that have looked at concussion and aerobic exercise, and vertigo is not too far off from that. A lot of times, concussions, you're dealing with dizziness or imbalance or something like that. And so I think it's a super important part of a program to recover from vertigo. And let me know if you have had experience with going through aerobic or cardiovascular exercise with recovering from vertigo, or if you haven't started yet. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments below. But thank you for watching, and feel free to reach out if you do have any questions.